All right, speaking of babies, K.Lee here, our producer, was told that he was not allowed to show up to the delivery room when his wife had their baby. And this was just 2 weeks ago now.
Yes, my baby is now 8 days old. 9 days old. 9 days old. Baby Kieran Joe, born last Monday. And yes, I was banned from the delivery room.
Because you choked the last time you were in there, right?
No, I didn't choke. This is my third, okay? So the first time, I was not supportive, is what she said. Those were the words she said while she was having her C-section, because I was making faces and I was giving her play-by-play about how her guts were on the table and... Ugh. I might have had a miner's light on, you know.
You were making light of a very serious situation.
Yeah.
And that was her first one.
Yeah. I kind of compared it to, a hair appointment because I just kind of, for my first child, Kai, she was actually in Birmingham. And so I rode into town, on a horse and basically showed up at the hospital 1 p.m. and the C-section was scheduled for 1:15 and it was done by 1:45. I was like, it's like a hair appointment.
Wait.
That's what it was like, huh?
Yeah, kinda.
So the C-section was scheduled for 1:15 and you rolled in at 1? So you didn't think maybe being there a few hours before to calm your wife's nerves as she's going under the knife, having the first baby wasn't necessary?
K.Lee, see how negative they are? You were there 15 minutes early.
They always teach you to be 15 minutes early to important events. That's what they teach you.
What's the etiquette, Kristen? You show up an hour early for a job interview, but what is it?
And now Kristen's even more irritated at me of the story.
I don't know how we've never heard this. I am just beyond.
I have a job. And so my job here, I got off at 9:30. It takes 2.5 hours to get to Birmingham, and I left right after work. And
you
rode
what you want
into
the man
town.
to do, see?
But you left at 9:30. You said it takes 2 hours.
2.5.
Okay, 9:30, 10:30, 10:30.
Time change.
I might have stopped and got gas, maybe Burger King or something on the way. I'm hungry. I mean,
He
you
rolled
can't
in
get there
the
without
delivery with a Starbucks. Sorry, I was late.
Yeah, right. And my miner's light, I had to get dressed up. So the second year, my mother-in-law, we had moved her into my house, and because she had cancer, she was battling cancer, and so I thought maybe I would, give up my rights to her and let her have that experience with her mom. And I never cleared that with my wife. I just asked my mother-in-law if she would like that, and she did. I thought, and I'm glad because we lost my mother-in-law a year later.
But Erin at the time was like, hey, you know what? Really nice gesture, but maybe you should have run that one by me first, right?
She did, yeah. But I think now, looking back, she's really glad she had that moment. This time, she definitely didn't want me in there from the first time. So I picked her friend Rachel up, her best friend, was like Erin's mom was like a second mom to her best friend Rachel. So I picked her up from the airport on Saturday. She flew in from Colorado. This was a week ago.
She got here early.
Yeah, she did. Good point. She did.
Good for Rachel.
Point. So she went into the delivery room.
Okay, so not only were you not allowed to go into the delivery room, you had to drop her best friend off at the hospital and then leave.
Yeah.
Well, no, she stayed at my house for a few days before. So, Kristen, she was there actually days in advance.
Okay.
She drove my wife to the hospital on Monday morning. I had to wake up with the kids. I was gonna.
No, you didn't have to. I had to wake up. No, you woke up with the kids.
I was going to take them to school, but we decided to give them the day off so they could show up at the hospital after Erin got out of recovery and got into her room.
Sure.
So I was eating what I think it was Lucky Charms.
Good choice.
When I got the picture that my baby was born.
So she texted to you.
Yes,
Okay.
I got the text. Well, Erin was in there for a little longer. The C-section, the hair appointment was a little longer this year, okay? Because she had her tubes removed, which was another subject that we had discussed, vasectomy or tubes tied, but they went with a tube removal for the sake of, I guess, ovarian cancer could start in the tubes. Yeah, so
just to be precautious.
Yes, so those were done. So I show up with the kids probably about 10 a.m. when she gets into her room. And, so the kids could see the baby.
Sure.
And shortly after, my parents start showing up. My dad shows up. Of course, he wants to see the baby.
Yeah.
When you say shortly after, like how soon since she was on a table, splayed open, her guts everywhere, were family in the room?
Well, she had to get to her room from recovery. So it was like surgery, recovery, her bedroom, for the next few days. They showed up pretty quick.
Yeah.
They showed up pretty quick.
Normally, you want just a little bit of downtime before allowing people in the room, especially if you've just done major surgery.
Sure.
Correct. And this is where it starts to get a little awkward because you've got nurses coming in there. You've got the lactation nurse coming in there. And, my dad, like I told my mom, you might want to give it some space, come later on, maybe 5 or 6, My dad is sitting there and I'm having to hold a sheet up over my wife's breasts so she could try to get the baby to latch on. And my dad's just sitting there. Oh, okay. And I'm like, okay, this is I
need some details on how he got in there in the first place. Because don't you have to get an okay from somebody?
No, he just walked up on in it. He had the room number.
You can just walk in?
Well, yeah, but I mean, the polite thing to do, most recently when I went to go visit Cassie and Hazel and Chad, I'm going to include him in this too. I let them know ahead of time and said, hey, is this okay? And they said yes. And the hospital just lets you walk right in.
Okay, so your wife is there and then Pops just knocks on the door and then walks right on in.
Well, I knew my dad was going to come. So it wasn't like he gave me hey, I want to, come. But it was just the fact that, when the lactation nurse comes in and, I think he had left the room for that. But as the baby wants to feed, I'm literally having to hold a sheet up in front of my wife's chest. And my dad's just sitting right across.
He's not taking a clue at
No,
all.
he's oblivious. He's oblivious to it. Finally, to the point I'm like, okay, I think the males are going to leave the room now. Because it's just so awkward. Now, my wife's best friend, Rachel, is there, and it just got really weird because he didn't get the hint. So the next day, my mom brings my wife some lunch, which was a nice gesture, and I think my wife knew my mom was coming. There again, my dad just shows up. Now, my parents are divorced. So the way that the room was configured, it was there was the hospital bed and then the baby had her little whatever. If my wife wasn't holding her, there was a little
baby box.
A baby box, a cart. It's a little cart with a little clear, thing on
bassinet.
A baby box.
A little baby cart.
A bassinet, whatever. And so my wife's got my mom, who's divorced from my dad, just kind of sitting there, and my dad hangs out for 4 hours.
4 hours?
Erin must have been fuming. Did she say to you at any point, hey, can you get your dad out of here?
Well, I wasn't there most of that day either because, I was having to pick the kids up from school, and, I wasn't there until later, and my mom was already gone, but my dad never got the hint. Leave the room, dude. I'm trying to breastfeed.
I'm a little surprised that Erin didn't say anything because she seems like the kind of person that would say, hey, can you give me a couple of minutes?
Because it's his dad. That's his jurisdiction. He was supposed to tell him.
Well, my wife's friend left to go to the airport from the hospital, but before she left, she's like, something's got to go here. She needs rest. And he still didn't get the hint.
So he just stayed there. Still didn't get it.
He stayed there until I got there, which was 5 p.m. So,
how old is he?
Man.
How old's your dad?
he's in his 60s.
Yeah, I can't wait until I'm that DG. I don't give a crap
Right.
age. I just can't wait. I'll do whatever I want.
I just want to see a breast. Come on.
The rules don't apply after 60.
Exactly.
Nah, you good. Do what you want.
The Bert Show.